way shorter. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Can you do it one more time?
Yes, sir. Mic check. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Melinda Urbina. I'm the Public Affairs Officer for FBI Dallas. Shortly, you're going to be hearing from our speakers, FBI Dallas Special Agent in Charge, Joe Rothrock, Dallas Police Chief Daniel Como, Dallas Assistant Police Chief Tina Schultz, Plano Assistant Police Chief Dan Curtis, Wiley Police Chief Anthony Henderson, Collin County DA Greg Willis, Acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas, Nancy Larson, and Acting U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Texas, Jay Combs. So they're all going to speak in order, and then after that, SAC Rothrock will open it up for questions. We please ask that you keep questions to this operation. Anything else will not be answered just for purposes, so we understand that. And we're going to begin shortly.
Morning. Good morning. My name is Joe Rothrock, and I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Dallas Field Office. Today we stand united, local, state, and federal law enforcement, with one clear mission: to protect our children and hold predators accountable. Operation Soteria Shield reflects the unwavering commitment of law enforcement agencies from across the state of Texas, who came together to safeguard our most vulnerable, our children. Now, in its 10th year, Operation Soteria Shield began in 2015 as a joint effort between a small group of Internet Against Crimes children investigators and FBI Dallas. This year marks a decade of progress, growth, and dedication to fighting online child exploitation. Soteria, the name of the operation, is derived from Greek mythology, and it represents safety, deliverance, and preservation of harm. And that is exactly what this operation delivers: safety for victims, and we hope it provides a pathway to healing. This operation brought together 78 agencies from across the state of Texas. Many of them are here in the room today. They include police departments, sheriff's offices, federal agencies to include the FBI and HSI, as well as federal prosecutors, state prosecutors, children's advocacy centers, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, all working together as one with the North Texas Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. We had a common goal: to shine a light into the darkness of child abuse and rescue children from abuse and exploitation. Over 200 dedicated professionals contributed to this operation, from detectives and patrol officers to special agents, crime scene experts, digital examiners, forensic analysts, and child advocates. Operation Soteria Shield included a wide spectrum of investigations: 124 cyber tip cases, 73 chat-based undercover operations, 23 high-risk victim rescues, and 30 responses for calls for service that directly led to child rescues. Investigations and arrests were coordinated across multiple jurisdictions and agencies throughout the state of Texas. 109 children were rescued. Children who were once voiceless and invisible are now seen and protected. 244 offenders were arrested, with 368 total charges filed. Among them, 21 were already registered sex offenders, highlighting the persistence and danger of repeat offenders. 165 search warrants were executed, 1,130 digital devices seized, and an astonishing 213 terabytes of data examined, much of it containing graphic evidence of child exploitation. This wasn't just a policing operation, it was a life-saving one that will have a lasting impact for these children and their families. Each statistic represents a child who now has a chance at a safer future. Each arrest prevents further trauma. Every byte of data seized is a piece of the puzzle that helps stop ongoing abuse and exploitation. The trauma these children endure doesn't end when the abuse stops, but what we do today gives them a chance to heal. I'd like to thank the command staff of all the involved agencies for supporting their officers, detectives, and agents in this very important mission. I offer a special thank you to the Plano, Wiley, Garland, and Dallas Police Departments for their continued partnership in this initiative, and for their officers taking a leadership role in ensuring this operation's success. I offer a thank you to the North Texas Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and to the special agents, intelligence and professional staff, and task force officers that make up the FBI's North Texas Child Exploitation Task Force. These employees work day and night to arrest child predators and protect the children in our community. Thank you to the partners at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We are grateful for the continued cooperation and your dedication to law enforcement in preventing the exploitation of children everywhere. To the children we've rescued, you are not forgotten, and you are the reason we do this work. This was not an easy operation, but it was a necessary one, and it would not have been successful without the resolve of every participating agency. But we are not finished. The work continues because the threats to our children are constant. Let the message be clear: if you exploit children, we will find you and we will bring you to justice. Thank you, and I'll now turn it over to Dallas Police Chief Daniel Cohen.
It's a privilege to be here today, the Dallas Police Department, to be a part of the National Texas Internet Crime Against Children's Task Force. This task force is committed to protecting our children and bringing those who exploit them to justice. We came together as one. We worked hard on this investigation to make sure that these heinous acts and those committing them are brought to justice. This shows what we can do when we work together. When we work as one, we can do everything to keep Dallas 100% safe in all of the surrounding areas. Now I'll turn it over to Chief Tina Shorts.
Good morning, everybody. It is definitely an honor to stand before you today, not just as a representative of the Dallas Police Department, but specifically the Bureau Commander over our Internet Crimes Against Children Unit, known as ICAC, and as part of a powerful coalition with my partners that stand by my side. The Dallas Police Department remains steadfast in its commitment to combating the scourge of online child sexual exploitation, and we're honored to stand here shoulder to shoulder with our law enforcement partners during Operation Soteria Shield. In 2024 alone, there were more than 35,000 cyber tips here in the North Texas area. 35,000. And just think about that. 35,000 translates to a potential single tip for a child, a victim, a family, a life that could be forever changed based on how we, everybody out here, how we respond to that. The number brings to light to the harm being done behind closed doors to our communities, and more specifically, our children. The Dallas Police Department is committing to fighting online child sexual exploitation, and we have been honored to come before with our 70 North Texas law enforcement partners for a common cause. At the core of this mission is an unwavering resolve to confront the crisis head on, to ensure that every victim gets the justice they deserve, and to make certain that those who prey on our children can no longer hide in the shadows, and their victims are no longer silent. That's why we're here today, to recognize this fantastic operation, Operation Soteria Shield, and the extraordinary impact that this has had. This operation is just one of the fine examples that we come together to see what good people across jurisdictions, when we stand with one common purpose. Because of this operation today, and the work that's being done daily, we're able to dismantle some of these operations that have posed a real threat to our most vulnerable population, and that's our children. Beyond the arrest of these 243 sexual predators, there were 109 children rescued from unspeakable abuse. Just think about that for a moment. That's 109 lives impacted. 109 stories that now have a different ending. 109 children who get a chance to heal, to be safe, and frankly, just to be a child. Because someone chose to care. The people in this room, you chose to stand up and care. Because everyone of the individuals involved in this operation chose to act. This operation didn't happen overnight. It was work being done by everybody involved. It happened because agencies saw the need to come together using law enforcement detectives, the FBI, child advocacy centers, prosecutions, our forensic analysts. Each group played a vital role, and every single person not only brought a skill to the table, but they brought the heart. And that was the heart and desire to save these children. And you guys have all proven when we work together, there is no hiding place for those who prey on our children. The demand for our vigilance, our innovation, and our unity has never been greater. This is not a one-time effort. As we mentioned before, this is 10 years in the working, and it'll continue. This is an ongoing battle, and our children are counting on us to remain on the front lines. The Dallas Police Department and our ICAC units remain committed to these operations. Because if there's one thing that Operation Shield has proven, and let me be very, very clear, our children deserve nothing less. Together we are powerful, together we are unstoppable, and together we can protect the future.
Good morning. I'm Dan Curtis with the Plano Police Department. First, I want to take just a moment to thank all of our partners with the FBI, the U.S. Attorney's Office, Collin County District Attorney's Office, and all of our partners in the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Next, I wanted to take just a brief moment to recognize one of our detectives, Jeff Rich from the Plano Police Department, not only for his efforts with Operation Soteria Shield, but for all the hard work he's done over the past 25 years to help keep our children safe. Detective Rich currently serves in our Special Victims Unit and is known as a world-renowned expert in Internet crimes against children. Our combined efforts in Operation Soteria Shield didn't just remove predators, Together, we removed the source that allows their crimes to spread and persist online. During this operation, as it's been mentioned, we rescued 109 children. That's 109 children who no longer have to live in silence, fear, or ongoing abuse. Each one now has access to vital support, care, and a chance to begin healing. Rescue is just the first step. What comes after this is critical. That's why our partnerships with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, therapy providers, forensic interviewers, and our Children's Advocacy Center staff are so essential. Behind every seizure of a hard drive and every warrant served is a potential turning point in a child's life. During this operation, many of the children recognized or rescued were previously unidentified. They had never been reported missing. They had never had their abuse known to authorities. Without proactive operations like this, they might have continued to stay in the shadows, continuing to be exploited and victimized. Imagine being a child whose image has been shared online over and over, wondering who's seen it and whether or not they've been recognized. Then imagine the relief of knowing the person that hurt you has been arrested and the images are now being removed. That's why these partnerships and these types of operations are so critical. They give children their futures back. Thank you. Now I'll introduce Chief Anthony Henderson from the Wiley Police Department.
Good morning. I'd like to thank everyone involved in this operation. It's because of your efforts, more children are safer, and there's hope for them and their families. While some might think this is a big city issue, we know predators cross every boundary. This operation proves that This operation proves that child exploitation crosses all city, county, and state boundaries. Wiley PD is proud to stand united with agencies across the state in combating these types of crimes and bring those that target our children to justice. Our strength as a department comes from the trust of the families we serve. Operations like this one reinforce to our citizens that law enforcement is not only reactive, we are proactive, persistent, and united. Wiley PD will continue to partner with our surrounding agencies to combat these types of crimes moving forward. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Greg Willis, Collin County DA. If you're interested in how all this got started about 10 years ago, I reached out to two men already doing some of the hardest work in law enforcement, rooting out child predators through cyber investigations. As has been mentioned, Jeff Rich of Plano PD and Chris Meehan, then with the Sheriff's Office and now with Wiley PD, they weren't just experienced, they were already recognized around the country, indeed around the world, as leaders in this work. I felt lucky to know them, and even luckier that they and their chiefs were willing to help build something even bigger. Back then, we already knew what the research and the cases make painfully clear. Behind so many of these images are real kids, not just exploited online, but often abused in person. What started as a small team with a bold idea has grown into something very powerful. Just this year, as you've heard, hundreds of arrests, more than 100 children rescued. That's not just enforcement, that's rescue, that's redemption. But it's not over. These cases are now headed to court. And I'm proud of the prosecutors in my office, like Ann Matthew, our Child Exploitation Unit Chief. She and others who stand up in court and speak for these children whose voices and cries so often are left unheard. But today isn't about the courtroom, it's about the officers, the agents, our partners, each of whom has refused to look away. You are doing the work that stops evil in its tracks. You are the ones with the courage, grit, and heart. So on behalf of the people of Collin County and my office, we say thank you.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Larson, and I'm the Acting United States Attorney for the Northern District of Texas. We are here today because child predators must be stopped. And working with our law enforcement partners in this operation, together we have stopped a multitude of them. I first want to thank each and every law enforcement officer and agency who participated in this operation. The subject matter is awful. To the officers and agents, the tasks you undertake on a daily basis to hunt down these predators requires you to look evil in the eye. Those who enjoy the sexual torture of children. The tasks you undertake on a daily basis astound me. They are so important and powerful. You are exposed to contraband so sadistic that most people cannot even imagine that it exists. And this comes at a tremendous personal sacrifice to each of you. You meet victims at every level of their tragedy and their trauma. You understand that these are children, not just pictures. You understand that every time one of these offenders views one of these pictures or one of these videos, that child is victimized again and again. Your dedication is courageous, sacrificial, and inspiring. We at the U.S. Attorney's Office are so proud to work with you. Now, working alongside our law enforcement partners, I'm proud to announce that as part of this operation, we have charged 11 defendants in the Northern District of Texas. Allow me to highlight just 2 of those cases. First, the FBI, assisted by the Texas Department of Public Safety, the Rockwall Police Department, the Arkansas State Patrol, and the Sheriff's Office of Dallas County, Arkansas, arrested Harold Lee Hill. My office charged him with transporting a minor victim with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, and he faces life in prison. And in our Fort Worth division, the FBI, assisted by the Fort Worth Police Department, arrested Michael Huffman. My office charged him with distributing and possessing child pornography, which included multiple horrible images of an adult male engaging in a sex act with a female child. If these images were not bad enough, as the federal complaint states, when agents went to Huffman's home to execute a search warrant, they found him sitting in his driveway with his laptop open with child pornography on display. By Huffman's own admission, he's been trading this sickening material for years. He faces 20 years in prison. We accepted more than 115 cases like this for prosecution over the last year, which were built on tremendous operations such as this one. Taking these horrific predators off the streets is a top priority for my office and for the Department of Justice, and we will continue to aggressively and swiftly prosecute these predators to the fullest extent of the law. Let this operation be a reminder and a warning to these predators. Our efforts will not stop. We are committed to and vigilant in the protection of our children. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jake Holmes. I'm the acting United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Texas, and I'm privileged to be here with you today. Child exploitation, including sex trafficking and child pornography, are truly a global criminal enterprise. We in the Department of Justice have a mandate to investigate and eradicate transnational criminal organizations, and there is no higher calling than eradicating the evil networks of criminals at home and abroad who target children. The numbers of offenders arrested and the children rescued in this operation are stunning. It's stunning to hear them repeated here. And it's stunning because at some level, each and every one of us understand that every statistic and every number represents a child who has dreams and aspirations and the God-given right to live his or her life free from sexual exploitation. The United States Attorney's Office in the Eastern District is committed to teaming with law enforcement to investigate and prosecute these cases with urgency and ferocity.
Nobody is more ferocious in that fight in my office than AUSA Marissa Miller, who teams with with Chris Meehan, Jeff Rich, and so many others in the FBI and state and local law enforcement across our country. We're proud to have joined with law enforcement partners in this operation. I'd like to highlight 2 cases. They're both in their early stages, and they're both currently continue to be under investigation, although some have been charged. So I can't say too much about them, but what I can tell you is that one of the cases involved the distribution of child pornography to multiple people. But another case, a particularly chilling case, originated in Allen, Texas. And it truly involved an international network that involved a perpetrator in Allen, Texas, and perpetrators in 2 foreign countries who were helping to run that organization that was targeting a child in North Texas. Those are important cases. They are the most important cases that we do. And we will continue to do them until this scourge is eradicated. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open it up for a few questions. Start on the right here.
So in regards to these children, can you give us some background? Are they from Texas, specifically here in North Texas, from where, all over the country? Just give us a little bit more detail.
Sure. So for Operation Soteria Shield, as we talked about, it covered the entire state of Texas. So all 4 FBI field offices, that includes Dallas, El Paso, Houston, and San Antonio, participated in this operation. We were supported by local and state officers from across Texas. The majority of the children rescued of that 109 came from North Texas. The majority of the offenders, so probably just north of 200, came from North Texas. Part of the reason for that is North Texas has, 1, really strong partnerships, and as you've heard us talk about today, we've had a decade of experience in this space, a decade of relying on very experienced investigators to help us build a framework and a foundation where we can put together large-scale operations like this.
Can you give us a profile of who these children are? Are they lured? Are they suddenly abducted? What their vulnerabilities are? I mean, are they, what's being used to keep them from getting out of the situation?
So they're not monolithic, right? Children today are at risk like they've never been in the past. Part of that is because of the increased access predators have to children, whether that be through online gaming platforms, social media, or other apps. So one of the things we constantly want to communicate to the public is, if you're a parent, please educate yourself, talk to your children, make sure they're educated and they understand the threats that are out there, because now more than ever, it is easier for a child predator to gain access to children than it has ever been.
What are some signs that parents can be looking for this sort of suspicious activity with their children?
So, we see at-risk children all the time targeted. Again, one of the groups that's really particularly concerning to us at the Department of Justice and our partners is 764. We've talked about the methodic approach they take to targeting children, and that they have a system in place and a coordinated effort to identify the most vulnerable, get them to produce child sexual abuse material or other material they can use to extort them in the future to continue to produce more and more egregious content. So again, if you're a parent, educate yourself, educate your children, be proactive, don't wait for there to be an issue, start those conversations now.
Another question for you. So in regards to, a lot of families think this could never happen to our family. Could you just kind of go into more detail that this sees no race, no gender, no, when it comes to demographics, anybody can be impacted by this?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Again, these victims aren't monolithic. They don't come from one part of North Texas. As the chief from Wiley said, this isn't just a big city problem. We see this in big communities. We see this in small communities. Any child can be a victim because these individuals, again, have such great access to them that it's really just not a concern for one population. It is all of our community's responsibility. So what we tell, again, parents, be engaged. If you have concerns, report it to local law enforcement, report it to the FBI, bring law enforcement in early so we can help.
So are these, do you know how many of these children are runaways, or are they in abusive family relationships? relationships they can't get out of? I mean, it doesn't sound like a typical kind of abduction situation.
So I think for many of us, I'll speak for my generation, we were raised to be concerned about faceless strangers that might try to contact us or cause us harm on the street. But we've moved past that. Again, predators have access to our children in our home through technology. So we have instances, and we talked about them, where some of these individuals were arrested because they possess, distributed, or they produce child abuse material. We have also instances where individuals entice children to travel for the purposes of engaging in sex, or where individuals traveled across state lines to engage with minors for sex. So it is not just one threat we have to be concerned about. There's a multitude of threats and sophisticated predators that are using technology to target our children.
In your 10 years of doing this, is this your largest roundup?
This is the first year that we included it across the state of Texas, so I expect that this will continue to grow as we move forward in the upcoming years.
You mentioned just a moment ago that many of these victims were not taken, abducted. So were they with their families? Were they just left their families? How did that work? Can you explain?
So a number of these cases are ongoing, and that limits a little bit what we can share. But historically, what I can tell you we see is we do see abuse in the home, and we see individuals in their home that take advantage of their access to their own children or other family members' children. We do see people in positions of trust from time to time, right? People that otherwise would have access to their children, because of their occupation. That is particularly egregious to us.
What's the youngest age of victims?
I don't know that I have the youngest age for you. We can come back to you, but I will tell you it spans a pretty large subset. And historically, what I would say is these victims, the age range goes as young as infants up to preteens, teens.
When this goes international, how do you guys go about slowing it or stopping it when it crosses, United States border?
Yeah, so fortunately, the FBI and a number of our partners, not only do we have great relationships locally here in North Texas, the FBI is well positioned throughout not just the United States, but throughout the world to work with partners who see the same threat we see and are very open to cooperation in this space.
You said 8612 or something like that. Is that a gang, or these groups, isn't that getting bigger? These gangs getting into this crime?
Sure. So we talked a little bit about, I think one of the individuals talked about the international aspect of this, and that we saw coordinated efforts across organizations, both inside and outside the United States. I referenced 764, which is a group the FBI has been very publicly talking about over the last few months because of the methodic approach they take to targeting children and their willingness to share that methodic approach and best practices across a number of individuals so they themselves can target children. So you just see it explode on a scale that maybe we haven't seen in years past.
In regards to Harold Lee Hill, so was he from, and I'm sorry, I forgot from earlier, I know Arkansas was involved, but was he from here initially and then was captured over in Arkansas? What was the coordination between them?
I can get you more specific details on that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
We're going to do one more question. One more question?
Just again, to families, I'm a mom. I think of this and I'm like, how could this happen? And I'm sure you hear that too from just folks in the community. What would you say to those families?
Again, what I would say to parents is be engaged, talk to your children, educate yourself, make sure your children are educated about the concerns that are out there. Be proactive, use parental controls, be engaged with your children, know what kind of apps, gaming platforms, and social media sites they're visiting, and understand the threats that come with that. All right, thank you all very much for being here today.
Thank you, everyone.
going to try to talk to the chief.
He ran for sheriff.